بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قالوا إن يسرق فقد سرق أخ له من قبل فأسرها يوسف في نفسه ولم يبدها لهم قال أنتم شر مكانا والله أعلم بما تصفون قالوا يا أيها العزيز إن له أبا شيخا كبيرا فخذ أحدنا مكانه إنا نراك من المحسنين قال معاذ الله أن نأخذ إلا من وجدنا متاعنا عنده إنا إذا لظالمون صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم. If you may recall, last week in the Dars of Surah Yusuf, as Yusuf ﷺ wanted to keep the youngest brother Binyamin with him in Egypt. So he devised a plan where you'll place a cup, and that cup was placed in the bag of Binyamin. And then the attendants and the workers, they made an announcement that someone has actually stolen one of the king's cups. So therefore we will look and find, in whatever bag that cup is in, they will have to stay. And according to the law of the land, whenever a person was caught thieving, stealing, then whom that person has stolen of, they have to be a slave of that person and live in that house, in that mansion, in that palace, whatever. So first they looked at all the other brothers' bags, they did not find, and then they found the cup in Binyamin's bag. Obviously this was a plan devised by Yusuf ﷺ. He did not really steal the cup, but this was a plan devised by Yusuf ﷺ so that he can keep his younger brother with him. So finally they found out that the cup is there, and he kept it. Now obviously when Yaqub ﷺ, the father of all these brothers, let them go and take Binyamin with him to Egypt, obviously he was very worried and concerned that the same fate, what happened to Yusuf, he was taken and gone, maybe it will happen to my youngest son Binyamin as well. So he was reluctant. Then he took an oath from them, a qasam from them, that make sure that we bring him back. Now what's happened? This has happened. So now they're worried and concerned that when they go back, what answer they're going to give to their father. So they're worried and concerned. Anyway, but they couldn't do anything, because look, if you are stolen, you are stolen, and that is a law of the land. We can't do anything. We have to go according to the law of the land. So the verses which I just recited now, this has already been mentioned. Qalu, the brothers said, إِن يَسْرِقْ, if he has stolen, then surely فَقَدْ سَرَقَ أَخٌ لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ, his brother before him must have also stolen. So they were mentioning this in front of Yusuf ﷺ. And when they said his brother must have also stolen before, they were actually referring to Hazrat Yusuf ﷺ. Now the question is here, is that what was the incident that they were referring to when they made this accusation that Hazrat Yusuf ﷺ had also stolen before? Actually, what happened? When Yusuf ﷺ was very young, his father took him to his auntie's house, Pupi, Foi, father's sister, to stay. And sometimes what happened in them days, they used to live in the countryside, so they have a more healthy environment. So they used to stay in the countryside, good food, good dietary, and strong, etc. Now, the auntie, the Pupi, was attached with the Yusuf ﷺ. When he reached such an age that now he had to be sent back, his auntie found it very difficult. So she also thought, let me devise a plan, how can I keep him here? So what she did as well, a small purse, money purse, and she sewed it she sewed it onto the cloth of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. So when Yaqub alayhi salam came to pick his son Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam up from his auntie said, look, I've lost my purse. So where is it? I do not know. You need to find it. So they looked for it and they found out that it was the cloth of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. So her plan worked, and she goes, and according to the law there, they had to stay in the same house and be a slave and a servant of that person whom they had stolen from. So Yusuf alayhi salam had to stay there. So that was an accusation that these brothers were referring to. So obviously they must have known what had happened, and this is the accusation that they're referring to here by فَقَدْ سَرَقَ أَخٌ لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ. Although in reality Yusuf alayhi salam did not steal, just like Binyamin, he did not steal as well. Anyway, now all this took place, the brothers mentioned this in front of Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam did not say, no, it wasn't me, that was just a false accusation. Why are you blaming me for it? This is what happened, the real story was this. He stayed quiet. And this is what mentions here, فَأَسَرَّهَا يُوسُفُ فِي نَفْسِهِ. Yusuf alayhi salam concealed this matter in his heart. So he did not open up, did not say it straight away. No, it wasn't me, this, that, whatever. He stayed quiet. وَلَمْ يُبْدِهَا لَهُمْ, and did not disclose it to them. Allahu Akbar. And then in his heart he also mentioned regarding these brothers, قَالَ أَنْتُمْ شَرٌّ مَكَانًا, you're all worse off. What are you were the one that committed the crime. You were the one that took Yusuf alayhi away from the father, threw him in the well, and now you've got the audacity to even blame him for this as well. So he's thinking in his heart. This is like what Qur'an mentions here is all mentioned in the heart. قَالَ أَنْتُمْ شَرٌّ مَكَانًا. And in his heart he's saying, you're all worse off. وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا تَصِفُونَ. Allah knows best what you speak. And Allah knows how your dirty scheming and planning and plotting, and then the audacity to say something like this as well, Allah knows. From this we also learn that no matter how pious we may claim to be and claim and say and this and that and whatever, and accusations we make to others, but at the end of the day, Allah knows. Allah knows. Time and time again in the Qur'an Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us that Allah ta'ala knows. Allah knows. So be careful in what we say, what we do, because nothing is hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is hidden. Allah. Here, Yusuf alayhi could have immediately responded and said something to clear his name, say the truth, whatever. But he remained silent, so he's waiting for the right moment. From this, we also learn that, yes, we should say the truth and say how it is and say what is right. But there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place for everything. When is it better to speak? Then you speak at that moment. And when it is better to remain silent, we remain silent at that moment. That we need to understand as well. Sometimes people always, yes, I always speak the truth. And every time it's just haq, I speak the haq. And then every majlis, every gathering, they just say it out just like that, without looking at the situation, the circumstance. Is it the right moment at this moment to say it? Is it later? And this is something that we really need to understand. Yes, to speak the truth, to speak the haq, indeed we should. But there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place for everything. That's the most important thing. So when should we be speaking? When should we not be speaking? When is the best time to remain silent? When is the best time to now bring it up? That is something that we need to understand. We need to learn from our elders, people with wisdom, with the hikmah, with the understanding when is the right time. Like I mentioned, it's all to do with understanding. And this is needed, this quality and skill, when to speak and when not to speak, when to remain silent and when to say something. It's a skill, it's something that is needed in every aspect of our lives. Whether it's regarding to dini matters, when it's related to our social matters, when it's related to our family issues, when it's related to our work commitments, we all need to speak. We all speak and we all need to speak. We need to speak the truth. But at what time to remain silent and when to speak, that is the most important thing. Sometimes people, unfortunately, they don't have the right understanding and they're always silent. Accusations upon them, they just remain silent, they just remain silent, they just remain silent. They don't say anything. And therefore people think bad of them. When in reality they're good people, they haven't done anything wrong. But because they're always silent and they don't say anything, people are accused and accused and accusations and accusations. So that's not very good as well. Sometimes we need to speak up. And you can't always depend on other people to speak on our behalf. And there are those who complete the opposite. Always speaking all the time. And sometimes they lose their respect and the izzat and the honor. So again, we need to wait out what situation requires when to speak. That is the most important thing. And even when we do speak the truth and the haqq, it should not be done to degrade anyone, to defame anyone. It should be done to first, if it's an accusation against oneself, to clear one's name. And if it's about deen and haqq and religion, then haqq and truth should be spoken, but not to do any beizati, not to disrespect and disregard anyone. It should be done so that people are safe from guna, from sin, from doing wrong, and they're able to come on the right path. That's the intention, that the haqq should be spoken. That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, and he was going to do the work of tabligh and da'wah to Fir'aun, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Speak with a very gentle tone. Even when you speak to Fir'aun, speak with a gentle tone. You're going to speak the truth. You're going to convey the truth. But that doesn't mean you go loud mouth and you start degrading people. No. وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Can there be someone higher in status than Hazrat Musa alayhi salam? And can there be anyone worse than Fir'aun? No. Yet still, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, when he came to speaking the truth and conveying the true message, Allah said, وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. It's about, the real reason why Allah has mentioned this is because we want the truth to have an impact on others, to benefit others. It should not be the complete opposite, that it doesn't have any benefit. You're speaking the truth, you're speaking the haqq, you're giving the lectures, you're giving the bayans, you're giving the talks, you're giving the advice, but sometimes it backfires. It doesn't have that impact, it doesn't have that effect, it doesn't have the benefit. The reason being because the approach is wrong, or the time is wrong. And therefore it's very, very important that when we speak the truth, we speak the haqq, when we convey the message of the truth, when you're about to say, make sure the time is right, make sure the tone is right, make sure the approach is right. That is the most important thing. When we get that, then inshallah it will be very, very beneficial. Very beneficial. But otherwise, when we speak the truth and speak the haqq, whatever, and the time is not right, then unfortunately it backfires. The impact is not as good as it's supposed to be. And sometimes we say very sort passionate emotions, and sometimes it's done in such a manner that it degrades the person, again that has a bad impact as well. So we need to learn from these lessons in the Qur'an al-Kareem, especially when it comes to speaking the truth and conveying the truth, because our purpose is that that person is safe from false. That's the most important thing. Is safe from batil, is safe from guna and sin, and becomes, subhanAllah, the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why we speak the truth and we convey the message. That's why even in our talks and our lectures and our speeches, we should take that into consideration. That we're not here to degrade anyone, we're not here to hurt someone's feelings, but what we need to convey the message so that they're safe from the fire of hell, they're safe from the punishment of the azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they gain the pleasure of Allah. So again, to learn how to speak the truth, when to speak, when to remain silent, that we can learn not just through books, we learn through being in the company of pious elders, righteous elders, buzurgs, walis of Allah, people who have so much hikmah and wisdom in their speeches, in their talks, in their mannerisms, in their character, in their lifestyle. Let's try to attain the company of such people. Inshallah, then we get to learn, all these sort of great etiquettes which have been mentioned in the Qur'an. Here, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, this thing has gone through so much. And upon that, another accusation made by the brothers, but he remained silent because he knew the time is going to come when they all come to me. So that is the time when I can say what I have to say. But like I mentioned before, on the other hand, if someone's accusing you, accusations upon accusations, accusations upon accusations, then we need to clear your name as well. You can't just always remain silent, otherwise everyone's going to think that he's the mujrim, he's the criminal, he's the gunagar, he's the one who's done wrong, but he's not saying anything. So therefore, to clear your name, that is also very, very important. So when the time comes, and now you know what, just like Yusuf alayhi, he did, look, I'm not going to come out first and help you, O king. First clear my name. First call all those women who made a false accusation against me, and let them speak the truth. And then they spoke the truth that we were in the wrong and Yusuf was right, he did not do anything wrong. Then he came out. Because if you want me to take a position of authority where people will respect me, respect what I have to say, and that stigma which is to my name, those accusations that are to my name, if I was going to do the work of deen, work of da'wah, if I was going to take a high post in the government where people need to listen to me, they'll only listen to me if there's no false accusation made against me, there's no stigma against me, only then they'll be able to listen. So therefore, he humbly requested to first clear my name first. So similarly here as well, that if there are false accusations, we clear our name. May Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq to learn from the lessons of the Qur'an. This is what has been mentioned here. So the brothers finally said, قالوا يا أيها العزيز, O minister, إن له أبا شيخا كبيرا, he has an extremely aged father, فخذ أحدنا مكانه, so take one of us in his place. إنا نراك من المحسنين, verily we deem you to be of the kind ones, meaning our father is very old now. He's been through so much. He already lost as a Yusuf alayhi. Now to hear about Binyamin and he's not with us, it's going to break him. It's going to break his heart. Just take one of us. Take one of us in return, in a place, and send him. So at least our father will be happy and will feel comfort in high that no, Binyamin is back. Allahu Akbar. But then the reply from Hazrat Yusuf alayhi was, Ma'adha Allah. Allah forbid that. أن نأخذ إلا ما وجدنا متاعنا عنده, that we take anyone besides the one with whom we found our article. Meaning, we found the cup in the bag of Binyamin. So how can we take someone else? That would be wrong. Are we against the law? So we cannot do that. Unfortunately, you'll have to go and we'll have to keep him no matter what. Inna idha la-zalimun. If we do so, it will certainly be of the oppressors, because obviously these are people of authority. So if people will see and the public will see that, hang on a minute, the government themselves and the leaders themselves are not abiding by the law of the land, and the law of the land is that that person who stole from that person, he has to stay, not someone else. So you put someone else in his place, then what are people going to say? That the king himself and the government themselves have actually gone against the law. So we can't do that, that is zulm. Obviously this is all happening by the planning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he wants a time to come where all the brothers will be back to Egypt with their father, and they'll be able to see Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam. Khair. So Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam mentioned here that it is impossible to arrest an innocent person. Further on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a mention for the mistake as soon as we Najiyah. Inshallah, we'll continue with that inshallah next week. Inshallah. May Allah ta'ala give us a tawfiq to act upon teaching of the Qur'an. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Subhanallah.